Okay. Okay, so you're welcome to today's session. Good afternoon, and I'm really excited to have you here. I am really excited. I must tell you, it's always a pleasure to share on school administration and all of the things that excite me, like management and leadership. And today, in this session, we're going to be looking at school records and administration. School records and administration. Please, my sessions are usually very interactive, and I'm always delighted to hear comments from anybody who takes part in my webinar or training or facilitation session. And remember the topic, school records and administration. So we're going right away. So some of you have never met me. I've seen one or two people that know me here already. I am Nancy Ekpezu. I'm the lead consultant and coach at Pezu Smith Consulting. I've been a school administrator in 4 reputable schools in 4 cities in Nigeria. And on my last job, I led a team of over 100 employees, where the heads of schools reported to me, while I reported to the board of directors. I'm a TEDx speaker and author of the book, The Educator. I'm versed in performance management, professionalism and ethics, strategic planning for schools and small and medium organizations, corporate governance, customer service, as well as policies and procedures, among other things that I do. I'm the founder of the Educational Administration Network with over 12,000 members from various countries around the world. And I was nominated for the ArcLife Foundation for Education in Africa Awards in 2018. So that is a bit about me. You may want to find out more about me on my website, www.nancyekpezu.com. Okay, so today's session, why are we talking about school records and administration? Basically, for today, we'll be looking at the importance of school record management and the various school records a school should have. We'll also identify and learn the various ways of keeping records in a school. And then we'll go on to discuss filing methods tomorrow. The last bit of it will be done in a different session tomorrow. I decided to split this into 2 so that today we are focusing basically on why you should have school records, the kind of records that you should have, who keeps them, and what you stand to lose if you do not keep records in your school. So that last bit of filing will actually be done in a second session, which will be held tomorrow. Okay, so let's have this exercise. Oh, some people are in the waiting room. I need to have a look so that I admit all of them in. Okay, so they are joining right now. Okay, so, all right, that is it. And so let's look at this quick exercise. What do you understand by school records? I know everybody's heard records. Can anyone just share and let me know what you understand by school records? I'll be looking at the comments to see what you're saying. Can we have what you understand by school records? Okay, we have 7 people now. That's awesome. I was actually expecting 3. I was told you'd be 3. So what do we understand by school records? Bookkeeping. Okay, Bukola says bookkeeping. That's fine. Bookkeeping, yes, that's true. What else do you have to say? Okay, let's take bookkeeping. That's fine. That's actually part of record keeping, but that's not all there is. Okay, so is anybody else saying anything? Trying to look at the comments. Let's see, chat. I can hear people shouting in the background. I don't need noise, so who is that? Who is actually that? Okay, so let's go on. Basically, what are school records? Someone is shouting mom in the background. Could you mute your phones and could you mute your So basically, school records comprise all existing and accessible records, books, files, and other documents which are useful information that relate to what goes on in a school. So everything that goes on in a school that you document and keep, either for future reference, for planning, for whatever, for inspection purpose, all of these things fall under school records. Or we could say school records are official documents, books, and files containing essential and crucial information of actions and events which are kept and preserved in the school office for utilization and retrieval as needed. So I'm not very good at big definitions. Basically, these are what school records are. Those official documents, books, files, whether digital or hard copy, that contain essential and crucial information about your actions in the school and your events that you keep. Take note of the word keep and preserve in the office for use and also to retrieve when it is needed. Okay? So that means that it is not everything in a school we keep. There are sometimes you need to clear the systems. Anytime I take on a new admin job, there are certain things I do. One of them is to clear out things that are not important, because in as much as we need to keep records, it is not everything that you just pile up. You go to some people's offices, you see files and files. Meanwhile, if you ask them for things that you need, they will not be able to locate where they are. That's not what we mean by record keeping. There's a system to it, and we're going to look at it today and tomorrow. So we could say record keeping is important because it affects every other aspect of school administration, such as planning, budgeting, staffing, facilities, discipline, and so on. I remember taking on a school admin job once, and believe me, I almost got crazy the first 1 month because we couldn't find anything. And so one of my first tasks was to put in place proper record keeping for that organization. So you cannot undermine the importance of record keeping. We can't even overestimate or overemphasize it. And it's not anything that you need to take lightly at all, because it can mess up your job as an administrator. So I'm happy that most people on this training are actually those looking up to start at schools, or are already starting out in their school administration journey. Please know that it affects a lot of things that you do in planning, in budgeting, in staffing, even the staff that you're going to employ, and managing your facilities, disciplinary actions on staff members. All of these things must be properly kept. So record keeping involves all of this. Now let's name some things that actually keep in your school. What are some of the things you keep? I'm trying to get the charts now. Where is the chart? I think I've lost it somewhere here. Oh, okay. I'm going to check. Okay, so what are some of the things that you keep? What are some of the records? Can anyone tell me? You can unmute and tell me. I can't find the control. I think it's here. It's hiding somewhere here. Oh, okay. Can anybody tell me some of the records?
Yes.
In school? Okay.
We keep the school register.
School register.
The lesson notes from the teachers.
Notes, yes.
Yes. We also make sure that the records of the pupils, the files of the pupils, they are also kept in the school.
Thank you so much.
Teaching materials, every other materials, the school drum, the school materials are kept in the school.
Thank you so
all these are kept in the school.
Exactly. We keep record of basically everything that is important.
Everything that pertains to the pupils.
Oh, exactly. Not just the pupils, even staff.
Yeah, the staff, yes. And the non-teaching staff.
Exactly. Teaching staff, non-teaching staff. That's very beautiful. Taiwo, do you have anything to say?
Yes. School record is very, very important, because without that, you just wouldn't know how to organize your school.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yes, you're so right. Bukola, do you have anything to say about what kind of records you must keep in the school? Can you name some of them? Hello. Osare, I need your contribution now. What school records do you keep in your school? Can you name some of them?
Okay, you have your diaries, your register.
Okay, beautiful diaries and registers. Chidi, have you said anything? Has Chidi said something? I like the class to be interactive. Chidi, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I've typed quite a lot, Ma. I said stuff like the admission documents, the staff register and salary documents, and
Okay.
also we also have the scheme of work records as
Okay.
well as every other thing.
Okay, I can see now that someone has written. Okay, Nafisat has said attendance books, full register, inventory books, diary, registers, inquiry records, lesson plans, and BHMS has said assessment reports. Okay, Osareme says mark books, lesson plans, staff salaries. Chidi says staff salaries, documents, and registers. Absolutely, all of these are amazing. Thank you so much. I'm sure you're already all doing the right things. This will just be a reminder. So let's have a look now at some of the records that we need to keep. Okay, in a school, there are records for everything. You know, in my school, every school where I'm an administrator, they say, "Oh, Miss Nancy has come with all her problems again. We must keep record about everything." Miss Nancy, and I tell them yes. And several times they have seen why this is important because things have played out in a way that they will always say, "Wow, it was so good we kept those records." You know, I remember a time when anyway, when we get to the reasons we keep this, we'll look at that. But let's just go on now to some school records that we keep. Land certificates, even the certificate that has given you the authority to operate on that land where you are. Whether you are the owner, but especially when you're the owner, you must have them. Records of registration with the relevant bodies such as the government, your state ministry of education, the federal one, everything about it. Government approved records, the national curriculum, your logbooks, your visitors book, job descriptions of staff, whether teachers or non-teaching, school fees records, performance management records, those are the things on appraisal, continuous assessment records, records of financial transactions, records of reports, various reports. I remember I used to write reports to the board of directors. All of these reports were kept. Okay, in records, I had files for them. Minutes of meetings, whether departmental, whether parent-teacher association, whether it is the entire school, all of these records must be properly kept. Policies and procedures, whether they are in digital copies or whether it's a handbook that you prepared, a soft copy, hard copy, everything. Store records for the inventories, everything you have in the school, up to the stock in the store, up to the inventory in every classroom and even the ACs, everything must be recorded. Movement book, health records, staff records and student records, students' academic records, admission registers, and lots more, parent-teachers association records, all of these must be kept. And there are two types of records usually. We call them the statutory records and non-statutory records. Okay, the statutory records include all of those ones required by the Ministry of Education, and they must be kept, okay? And then, of course, you have the other ones that normally, involve some other things, such as your financial records and general records. So a lot of those things we have mentioned, all of these fall into all of these categories. Then the big question, who keeps school records? Who is the one that keeps them? I would say that the people in the admin have the core function of this. The admin team will have the core function of keeping records, but it doesn't mean that it is only it is only them that should keep records. The guardians counselors will keep records, teachers keep their own records like their diaries, the scheme of work, the students' academic records, their continuous assessment and tests. Some are kept with the teachers and then passed on to the guardians counselor or the principal, depending on how the reporting system is in your school. Some are kept with the principal, some with the heads of schools, some with the head teachers. The hostel staff also keep theirs if you have a boarding house. And of course, the accountant has various records that they keep also, including school fee records, the progression you've made in increasing fees, fee collection records, which parents are owing, which ones are not. All of these records, financial records basically are kept with the accountant and the school administrator. So the big question now is why is record keeping in schools very important? Why is it very important to keep records in schools? There are so many reasons. I'll give you an example. There was a man who was looking for a political appointment once, and this is a true life story. and he needed to actually get endorsed, get some. There were forms they were meant to fill, and one of them was to go to their primary and secondary school to get reports about them. They wanted to hear about from the schools that they attended. And so this man gets to his primary school, and they, of course, you don't expect that it's the same set of people who were there that would be still be there while he was a student or a pupil in that school. He got there, and they, of course, the headmaster didn't recognize him. They didn't even know he passed through that school. But by the time he said the year that he graduated from that school, they were able to trace from the records, and then they got all of information that he was a prefect at his time. He behaved very well. He got awards, and these were the scores he had while he was there. They talked about his character and all of that. For a man who had never met him, he was able to say exactly what he saw there because it would not be a lie. Those records were kept over the years. But imagine that he got there and there was nothing to be told about him, or that the school had lost all of the records. Do you know at that point he would have lost that appointment because they would think he was lying about the school he went to? That is how important record keeping can be. And sometimes if you neglect it and you don't do the right thing, you never know how far it can go to damaging people's futures and the people who are associated with you and who need the data or the records that you keep. I'll give you another example. I was looking for a job once, while in the years when I was still looking for a job, and I was in Abuja for a job. I was told that they needed all of their from first school living certificate. I couldn't understand why, because that sounded so funny to me, but they actually demanded it. And guess what? I had to travel to where I did my primary school, where I attended primary school. And after much arguing and everything with the headmistress and the people that were there, they went through their documents, and they found out that my first school living certificate was there. Because all I had to do was tell them the year I graduated, the year that I took the first school living certificate exams. They looked for it, and voila, it was there. They only asked me for a little thing, you know how Nigeria is, just, a token, maybe just to say thank you or something. But what I'm saying is, what if things were lost? What if they were not properly documented? What if someone had taken the one for a particular year and just dumped them carelessly without properly filing them as required? I could have actually missed out on that opportunity just because somebody in a school, just because a school administrator, a headmistress, a headmaster, or somebody in charge was careless with record keeping. So record keeping is absolutely important for reference purpose, for the future, for planning, for a whole lot of things. So let's look at the reasons now. Okay, so record keeping, it provides data needed for planning and decision making by the school authority. Usually when I'm a school administrator in a school and people come and tell me, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do that, especially on my last job where I was heading a very large team, and there was a primary school and early years and then a secondary school. Well, most of the time, when the head of each of these schools comes to me for anything that needs approval, I'll usually ask them for the records of that particular thing they're asking, because I want to know how it was consumed. If, for example, you're telling me you need brand new drums, I would want to know the last time one was bought. Where is the record? How was it used? Where was it stored? Can I have an idea about it now? Can I see it to inspect to be sure that it is in such a bad state that we need to replace it? So record keeping is very important for planning and for decision making. As a school administrator, you do not take you do not take decisions based on sentiment. You take decisions based on data. Your decisions are data driven, and if data are not kept over the years in all of the strategic areas and very important areas, then you will have a problem. Okay, so it's very important for decision making. So even if I'm going to employ, for example, in a school, maybe people tell me, oh no, in this section we are understaffed and we need this number of staff. Before I go on to approve that we need to employ new people, I need to see the timetable. I need to see all of the records. How are the subjects distributed? How do you think that this and this can be done? What can we do? So all the decisions you take as a school administrator, major decisions have to be data driven. Of course, there's a place for intuition and all of that, but basically we work by data in administration. Okay, so records make for accountability. Imagine you're heading a school and someone comes to you and says, we need to sack Mr. Lagbaja from that class. And there's no accountability, no data, nothing to prove that he's been performing poorly over the years and needs to go. So for the first thing you want to ask such a head or a supervisor is, please can you give me the records so that we are accountable for this decision we're about to take? Can you give me the records that show his performance and the comments that have been made over the years? And if they bring his file and he's been doing excellently, definitely you have no business laying off such a staff. And then if people have also been assigned to do things and there's a follow-up or whatever, and or there's no follow-up or no proper data kept, you will not be able to say, no proper records kept, you will not be able to say who is accountable for what. Okay, so as much as we take decisions, such things like job descriptions will help people to be accountable because they are filed, they are put in their files. Everybody has signed that these are the things I'm expected to execute on this position. These are the goals, these are the performance objectives set out for me by the school administrator or by the principal or by the board of directors. So it makes for accountability when records are kept for everything. If I wake up now and get to a school and I'm heading the place and then I see that it's time for an event and the event coordinator has not made sure that there are chairs for the event or whatever. Somebody's accountable because his record shows that he's meant to be the one responsible for that. So record keeping makes people accountable. Very important, and you mustn't forget that at all. Okay? Okay, so why is record keeping also important? It provides information on the history, progress, and development made in the school. Very, very important. Very, very important. Very important. Okay, so the history of a school and how it's done, how things are done there, the culture of a school, the things that you do, your progress, your development. You know, you can sit down and study everything from the time your school was started up to now. Are you making progress? How many students were admitted at the onset? Maybe you started with 52 and you are now 51. After 3 years, you know there's a problem. Are you making progress? Are you moving forward? When last did you increase school fees? How many students have come? What are the milestones in the school that have been achieved? You know, what are the areas you have not done well? How do you review? All of this can only come when you're keeping record. If you're just sitting and imagining things, it doesn't make any sense in administration. But if you're actually following the progress, you know, the history and everything that you're doing through proper record keeping, you see that you make more progress than someone who just sits down and imagines that they should be doing this or doing that. Okay? So that's how it works. It saves the school from unnecessary embarrassment and legal tussles. When you're an administrator and you take decisions, it should be backed up by data, by records, like I said. If you just wake up now and say this person is not performing, go, and he takes you to court, you have your evidence that in the performance appraisals of this staff in the past 4 years or 3 or 2, these are how he has been appraised, and this is our standard. These are our criteria, our parameters for either retaining staff or laying them off. And so this person has not met this, and so this is what we're doing to him or her. Okay, so you're able to avoid unnecessary embarrassment and legal tussles when you keep proper records. Okay, I worked in a school once where someone had to sue the school because there was an issue with something that had to do with the health insurance. And the person wasn't, or was it the pension scheme, and the person wasn't happy how it was handled. You know, so because we had our proper records, we were able to go to court, you know, and lay our facts out there. But imagine that there were no records and things were just done haphazardly. You know, there'll be a problem, right? Okay. So also, why is record keeping important? It's important for effective and efficient management of the school. Remember, decision making is not done with sentiments or emotions, it's done from data. So in order for you to manage effectively, to operate effectively and efficiently, you must have the right records to guide you. Okay, and of course that includes policies and procedures. Why is school record keeping important also? For the purpose of continuity in school administration. Remember what I said about the man who went to get his report from his school, the school he attended. If there was no record keeping, there will be no continuity. That the pieces of information he needed for that stuff would have been lost, completely lost from the whole thing that was going on. He would have been completely lost. So there's need for continuity. So if you're no longer there, then you now also, if you're no longer there, somebody else takes over from you, and the person continues and goes on and hands over to the next person. I'm no longer in the last school where I worked, but because of the records I kept, I made it very seamless for whoever was taking over from me as the administrator to just flow into that position, because I had kept records of the performance of the staff. I had kept records for policies and procedures, even the ones that were not there. I had to create them. I had kept policies for even our procurement. How do we get things done? How do we approve money? How do we prepare our budget? All of these were properly documented and left there. And so the administrator taking over from me didn't have to go through what I went through, so that I created some level of continuity on that position, because it's not about me, it's about the position. And anybody else can come and take over, and there'll be a seamless flow once the proper thing is done in record keeping and other areas. Why is record important again? Properly kept records in the human resources are important in the Properly kept records in the human resources are important. This one is important, are important for employment. Like I said, before you employ someone, you have to know, do we really need this person? Can we reshare some, things and all of that? How much is coming in? Can we afford it? All of these details are very important. Why is school record keeping important again? It provides information for parents who may ask information regarding the general conduct and academic performance of their children. This is very, very important. Very, very important. How is the academic performance of my child? A parent will come and ask you. And you must have records kept. You must have your continuous assessment records, the things that they are good at, what activities do they take part in, what clubs and activities do these children go to attend, their disciplinary records, visits to the guidance counselor, areas that the school is struggling with them. All of these things are actually important, and the parents will need to know. Very important. Then why is school record keeping important also? For research purpose in education and other purposes. That's why we keep records. Sometimes they may just come into your school to give reasons. The quality assurance departments, units, they actually go around school by school to carry out, some of the things that they use for their research are actually from schools. And so if you're able to keep proper records, it helps them also in their research, and also when they come for inspections and all of the other things that are required of schools. Okay, so for effective and efficient operation of the school, I've mentioned that earlier, that you cannot operate effectively and efficiently if records are not properly kept. Very important. Another reason is that it provides data about the school to the relevant authorities. I'm sure some of you know that inspectors come to schools. They come to check a whole lot of things. And if they do not have the right records, then there is a problem. Usually I let my team know that it is not when inspectors are coming that we start running helter-skelter to put records right. Any school where I'm the administrator, we operate in a way that if inspectors are on their way, everybody's calm and relaxed, because all the records are up to date at every point in time. That is the standard I always set in the schools where I'm the administrator. So everybody knows that I can call for records anytime, and there's a system of reporting so that there's a clean flow of how information moves and how it is stored and who is responsible for what, and when I need them. And I can always come in to do impromptu checks to see that these things are in place. So we don't wait until inspectors are coming before we start sending memos and circulars to tell everybody, hey, put your record in place. People are coming from the quality assurance or the Ministry of Education. No, we don't do that. you have to always make sure that they are in place, not because of inspections, but so that even when they come, everything is fine and you do not run into problems with them. So the relevant agencies of education will always stop by your school, and it's your duty as the administrator to ensure that all of the things that they need for their visits are in place. Okay, so why is school record keeping important? Another reason, it facilitates the provision of effective guidance and counseling. Someone is joining, okay. It facilitates the provision of effective guidance and counseling for students in the social career domains. You know that the information you get about students will also determine how the guidance counselor deals with them. If the guidance counselor is not getting any information, maybe needs a with a child, and there's nothing on his records from the class teacher and all of the teachers that teach him or her, then the guidance counselor will be at a loss about what to do. But if the records have been kept there by their behavior, about how often they miss school and how things that they're involved with, then it makes the job of the guidance counselor somewhat easier because there's a flow of information for them to be able to work with. The basis for objective assessment of the performance of the staff and students. I'm sure you see schools where we do the performance of students yearly, internal exams, external exams, or this is the percentage pass in maths, in physics, in English, in so subjects, and then we just go and on and do all of these. Sorry, can you mute your? Can you mute your? Taiwo, can you mute? Okay, let's have everybody muted. I can hear noise in the background. Okay, so it provides a basis for objective assessment of the performance of the staff and the students. Now, when we are familiar with how we evaluate, how we're performing with the students in external exams. Schools do that, and they even, boast about it, post in the newspapers, they, show it off on social media that they have maybe 90% pass rate in English and maths, or generally in their IGCSEs and also their Cambridge checkpoints, or in their West African School exams, certificate exams, and also NECO, all of the exams that they take. So these are the things that, record keeping does. You're able to say, okay, last year we had 90% pass, this year it's 91, next year if it is 85, then we know there's a problem, we need to look into it. What happened? Didn't we prepare enough? Didn't we cover the curriculum? The scheme of work, was it not completed? All of these things will now help you with decision making, how to put things in place for a better performance. Okay, how many children got admission into the university from our school this year? How many were not able to get admission? What happened to those who got? How did they get and others didn't? You have to just check. Was it an admission procedure? Was there a time we lowered the admission standard to just take, anybody? Or is our school known for just taking any child who comes? All of these things actually help you in decision making. And also for the staff. In every school where I'm the administrator, I introduce evaluation. And I usually start with making sure every staff member has their job descriptions, and then we go on to set proper performance objectives, and then we decide the parameters for their evaluation and how often they'll be evaluated and who will evaluate them and when. And so all of these things help because they're all documented. You sign that these are the things expected of you to perform this school year. And so I can keep you accountable. I can make sure that you're accountable to achieve those things for that period of time that we have agreed. So that's how it works. So just as you evaluate for the teachers, for the staff, the students to know how they're performing, you also do for the staff members, and that includes the teachers, the non-teaching staff, and also the management staff that are involved with the school. So why is school record keeping important? This is another point. It serves as reference material for both the teachers and the administrators. I think my first example illustrates this, whereas I talked about the man who went back to the school to get information about who needed information for a political appointment. Okay, they wanted to attest to his character, to whether he actually attended that school, what kind of student he was, what did he have any leadership position. All of these things were found just because there was a reference to go back to in the school. So documentation also serves as reference material for both the teachers and the administrators. If you have a handbook, for example, I prepared the one for my last school. So if there's a handbook and you're able to say, okay, these are the things that we do in this organization, these are the things we do not do, that document, that handbook becomes a reference point. Whenever a staff member is going to be disciplined, whenever there's anything that needs to be done, and there's a guideline that helps people. And so it is documented and they can all go back to it always and check to confirm if what they are doing is in line with what the organization approves or what the organization frowns at. So that is it. Let me see what you have said. Let me see what you people are saying here about this. Can I really see the charts? No, I can't. I'm not sure I can see that right now. Oh, okay. Okay, so those are actually some of the, I think I've covered a whole lot about why school records are important. Now let's look at ways that records can be kept. Okay, remember tomorrow we'll go in details into filing, how to create a filing system for your hard copies and also for digital or electronic copies of your documents. Okay, that's what we'll be focusing on tomorrow. But for today, remember we said we're going to find out what record keeping is, what records are, the types of records that we keep, and also why they are so important. I had to spend a whole lot of time explaining why they are so important, because they really are important. And so we're now going to look at ways that you can keep records in your organization. And one of them is to classify them. We'll go into details about that when we look at filing. Okay, we'll look at that in details in filing. So we'll have to classify the files, classify the kind of things that you want to keep. Okay, I won't go into details now, but classification is one of them. You have to classify the things that you need, the things that you need. You have to classify the things that you need. Okay, you have to classify the things that you need. Okay, so that's it. And then you have to decide where you're going to store them. Are they going to be digital? Where are you going to store them? Do you have a place to store them? And then there's file maintenance. How are you going to maintain them? And then, of course, how to check out the files, and then how to guard them against natural factors, such as water, maybe a leaking roof, fire, or maybe theft. There are some things that should be locked up in a safe, and there are some that you can keep in the office safely as well. So you have to guard against the natural factors such as dust, how to store them so that dust does not invade them, how to store them so that they do not have water coming in and dripping there and messing things up, or or tearing. Maybe files that are so important, it's not the type you keep somewhere and everybody just be flipping through, dirtying them with their hands, or even tearing them from too much use or having too much access to it. So those are basically some of the things. So we'll look at that in details tomorrow. Okay. There are certain challenges you'll come across when you're in record keeping. When you set up, I'm very big on record keeping. I'm very, very particular about record keeping in organizations. Sometimes I even have people on my team go, oh my God, what kind of woman is this? Why can't you just rest? But over the years, everybody who has worked with me has got to know why I am so particular about record keeping and how much it has also saved the organizations I've worked with and worked for. Things like people taking things for granted or even taking advantage of the organization, or even getting into trouble or whatever, even for individuals in the organization. So these are some of the challenges you may face when you're with school record keeping. One of them is uniformity in record keeping. You will see that people's ideas of record keeping will be different. So you as the administrator will need to set a standard to say this is how we're going to do it, and it must be properly communicated to everybody in the organization so that you're not an island. So for example, if you have decided this is how we are going to name files in this organization, then you have to make sure that everybody else lines up, because if you say everybody's going to use alphabetical order and files will start with A and B and we arrange, another person says no, it has to be numerical, then there'll be a problem. So there has to be a uniformity in record keeping. There must be uniformity, and this must be clearly communicated to everybody on the team. Everybody must be carried along. Then sometimes there's apathy or laziness on the part of the teachers to supply information. Sometimes teachers think that all that they do is just to teach and teach and teach and go home. And so when they're asked to keep certain records, they're usually not so forthcoming or so eager to supply, but you have to teach them. You have to overcome that by making it part of their appraisal, part of their performance expectations, that also records must be supplied as and when due. And you state the time when these are needed. So that will help them. When people know that you're checking out on what they're doing and that they'll be evaluated on it, believe me, it makes people line up as against just letting them be. So as the administrator, you have to enforce that records are supplied by whoever is in custody of them, where they are needed and where they need to be stored. For example, if teachers need to turn in grades and continuous assessment of the teachers to the guidance counselors at a certain period, maybe every half term or at the end of term, then it must be included in their performance objectives. And any teacher who fails to do so will have to be reprimanded so that they know that they need to sit up and get their jobs done. Then there is lack of training of the staff concerned. Sometimes we think that people are magicians or they are mind readers, and we just expect them to get things done without proper training. I have news for you. When you're going to enforce proper record keeping, please, even if you know everything about it in the whole world, you have to teach the staff. There has to be formal training of all of the staff involved. You have to teach them the kind of filing you need to do, why even this record keeping is so important. And then you go on to train and retrain, and you make it a part of the training for everybody who comes into that organization. So it forms a part of the induction for all new employees in your organization, not something you just do one-off and say, well, I've taught everybody and so we are fine. No, you let them know that this is the expectation. This is what the organization expects from you. And so you have to line up. And these are the consequences for not doing the right thing. Okay? Then lack of continuity of records. We need to get to the place where you leave an organization and the organization does not go through any phase of missing you too much. Yes, you have skills to offer, you have a whole lot, but we need to grow to the level where an administrator will leave and the records that he or she has kept will just make the next person flow in seamlessly. That's what I try to achieve in every position where I'm a school administrator. So the lack of continuity of records makes record keeping very, very challenging. Some people leave organizations. I've heard about school administrators leaving an organization and they'll take school records or some will use their personal laptops to do some things and they'll leave them there without transferring all to a central place where everybody will have access to. It's very important that there's continuity of records. I can't emphasize this enough. So you have to operate in a way that there's continuity of records, whether you are a teacher, whether you're the guidance counselor, whether you're the school administrator, the principal, the head of school, the head teacher, whatever position you are, whether you're even a member of the board. There has to be continuity. There has to be continuity of records. Okay, and then the security problem or destruction of records. Who deliberately destroy records? Maybe for selfish reasons, cover up their tracks or whatever. these are things you have to watch out for in organizations. So as the administrator, you have to be on the lookout for that. And sometimes you could get to poor storage and natural disasters may occur, such as, maybe rain or whatever, floods or whatever. Some people supply false information and there has to be a way to check that in the organization. And then there's also inadequate record keeping, which is not encouraged at all. So you must make sure that there's adequate record keeping of all of the things that you need to do. So if, for example, your expectation is that they supply 10 items, don't exonerate them if they supply 5 out of the 10 that you need. Make sure you chase up on them because it's important that all your organization has all of the records that need to be there. Okay, so let me see the comments that I have from you all. Where are the comments? I saw them just now.
Okay, hello, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Yes, the comments are basically the ones that we had before that were from the questions you asked at the beginning of the class about what kind of keep in school. So for now, there are no comments.
Okay, no, the questions have been coming and popping up and going down. So let me just check. Okay, all right, so thank you so much. All right, so that's basically it. This was meant to be a 55-minute session. We have 51 minutes already. So we are going to have a question and answer session, so don't leave yet, please. But connect with me on my website, www.nancyekpezu.com. And then send an email to me at nancy@nancyekpezu.com or pezusmithconsulting@gmail.com. I'm on WhatsApp as with 2+234 803 5880 I'm on LinkedIn as Nancy Ekpezu. I'm on Instagram as Nancy Ekpezu. I'm on YouTube as Nancy Ekpezu. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel immediately. And this video will be on my YouTube channel later today, so you can go there and have a replay of it and subscribe to the channel and recommend to your friends as well. I'm also on Facebook as Nancy Ekpezu, and if you need to schedule an appointment with me, please book that at www.calendly.com/Nancy Ekpezu. I'm going to now leave the screen so that you may now stop. I'm going to leave the screen now so that we have the question and answer session. Okay, I can see the comments now. They are mainly, okay, say thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. God bless you. You're welcome, Nafisat. Please, let's have questions now. Let's have questions from everyone. Let's know what you have learned from the session and how you intend to apply it. And if you have questions, please, I'll be glad to answer them now. I hope it's been worthwhile. I hope it's been worth your while so far. Hello.
Yes, ma, it's been worthwhile. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge. God bless you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So do we have questions? Do we have any questions?
For me, it's well explained, ma. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Nafisa says, wow, I'm so filled up. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. God bless you, ma. Okay, you're welcome, Nafisa. Any other comments, any questions? Who has questions? Please feel free to unmute and ask them. Bukola, do you have questions? Bukola, do you have questions? Nobody has questions. Osareme.
No questions, ma. All is clear. Thank you very much, ma.
Okay, or are you people so eager to go so that you can go and have dinner? I'm just teasing. Okay, so BHMS. What's the full meaning of BHMS? I'm curious, Okay, so are we? Any questions? Okay, Busy Hands Montessori School. Oh, that's great. I think you should write it in full, oh, because that will also help people know the full meaning. Any questions? So can we call it a day if you do not have questions? Or can you tell me how they intend to take this knowledge home? Or what exactly you have picked from here and how you're going to apply it? Tomorrow we'll be going into details about filing, the real thing, how you can, the practicals, the details of how you really create a filing system for your school, both for paper filing and also for digital filing. So are we fine with this?
Yes.
Okay, so I can call it a day then. This is almost 1 hour. So I'm ending. Can we say bye-bye then if we don't have questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
This is my
Thank you so much, ma'am. God bless you.
The records. I guess that will be in tomorrow's class. Yes, we'll go into sessions how you really preserve them. So that's actually for tomorrow's session. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So much. I've had a great time taking this session, and I look forward to connecting with this session. YouTube studio right away and subscribe, and then also turn on the notification button. This video will be there. I'm trying these days to keep videos that I do so that others can connect with them and also learn. Thank you so much. I've had a great time. See you tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you in the next session tomorrow. Bye for now.
Thanks, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.